Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back to the channel. I'm Sen. If you don't know me, I'm a fourth year medical student at Cambridge. As you can see, this day started off with a hectic run towards theatres. Turns out that was all useless. As you can see, I'm on my clinical placements at the moment, in hospitals all the time, seeing patients and getting better at, taking histories, listening to people's hearts and understanding what's wrong with them and how we can get them better. At this particular time, I was commuting every day from central Cambridge out to North Cambridge. It was a half-an-hour drive, and as you can see, it's a wonderful motorway journey, and it really gave me the opportunity to listen to some wonderful songs. And when the weather was nice, it was a very smooth drive there. Now, when I get to hospitals, I quickly change out into some scrubs. Everyone in this hospital wore scrubs, and so I did the same. These particular ones, these burgundy trousers, are different to the ones I wear later on in the video, just as a bit of a disclaimer. But scrubs are really useful, they're very handy. You can just put them in the laundry at the end of the day, and so when you go home, you're not wearing any hospital clothes, and I guess it helps control infections. So anyway, after I got changed, I went to the surgical meeting room, and despite my rushed efforts to get there, the surgeons and I just sat down and had a coffee for half an hour and talked all about how COVID has caused havoc in all parts of life. After that, we then went into theatre, and we operated on a person with a gallstone. The gallstone was absolutely massive, I talk about this later, but a gallstone technically forms when you have bile, which is in the gallbladder. It's stored in the gallbladder, made by the liver. Also, bile is a thing which helps break down fats more easily. So this bile is a very concentrated, saturated solution. And so if it sits there for a long time, there's a high chance that it can crystallize and eventually form over many years a big gallstone. This gallstone can move and cause blockages, which can be pretty bad, but also whenever the gallbladder contracts when you eat fatty foods, it can press on the stone and cause some pain and discomfort also. So for this patient we saw, we had a laparoscopic procedure, which means through tubes and using long arms with tools attached to the end alongside an endoscopic camera, we were able to remove the gallbladder. Now, I was assisting in the surgery. I was fully scrubbed in, wearing FFP3 masks and surgical gowns and all, and I was holding the camera for the surgeons, but also at the end I was able to help suture up the patient. I didn't do too much suturing, but I'm going to talk about this later, so I'll let you guys carry on watching.
So we removed a gallstone, well, a gallbladder and a gallstone from a patient earlier, and the gallstone was literally 4 centimeters big. It was like like a small potato, like a new baby potato. Got that done. Now I need to head back, grab my bag, and I'll get some lunch. And I've got some teaching in the afternoon for an hour. Then I'm meeting my clinical supervisor for a supervision as well. Yeah, everything on. My proper FFP3 mask. Got some nice clogs as well. Just got permission to go to theatres tomorrow as well. So usually on Fridays you have GP, but looks like I'll be in theatres tomorrow as well. Theatres are so much fun. So I scrubbed in today, which is really nice. Scrubbing in means you wear the sterile outfit. And yeah, that was fantastic. Scrubbed in, held a retractor for the surgeon. I sutured up as well, so closed the patient. Only one suture, but that was my first ever suture on an actual live patient, so pretty proud of myself. Anyway, let's get some lunch now and we'll head to our teaching in a minute. I left my bag unattended in the locker room. Let's hope everything's still there. Oh, phew, yes. I was stupid, I left my credit cards, my iPad and all. Luckily I have my watch on me. That's the most valuable part of it all. I'm not sure if I should change out of scrubs or not. I went to hospital this morning hoping to be in scrubs the whole day anyway, so I'll keep this on. I guess I was wearing a gown over the top earlier. Got my watch on. Let's get my ID badge on, that's important. Quick tip in transporting shoes. Tie one shoe to the other, then tie them both to your bag strap, and then they'll be clean and out of your way.
Anyway, so after finishing up with theatre, I then quickly got some lunch from the hospital canteen. Surprisingly, this hospital's canteen food was pretty good. It was about £4 or £5 for a main meal and fairly healthy and tasty as well. Usually I've had bad experience with hospital canteen food, but this wasn't the case. After that, we went into some teaching. So when you're on Cambridge clinical teaching placements, you have a mix of both hospital ward work, but also teaching that's based in sort of small group, but also lecture-based environments. And this is really, really useful because you get clinicians like cardiologists, surgeons coming in, teaching you from their perspective, which is very different to watching a YouTube video or reading textbooks or reading notes that you've written from prior reading. So this surgeon was particularly friendly, and then he later invited me to the theatres to help out with 3 hip procedures. And I'll talk about this a bit later, but he allowed me to do some pretty cool stuff in theatres.
Right. So we are doing the examination on the hip, yeah?
So after teaching, we're all exhausted. So as you can see, I'm here getting a quick coffee and of course some biscuits as well. Kind of coffee without biscuits or cake. Now after the quick coffee, I then went into the main theatres of the hospital and I helped carry out 2 hip replacements, but also a revised hip replacement, which means removing an old hip replacement which has been in there for a long time and then putting in a new one. I was able to assist in a lot of these. I put in a catheter during the surgery, and that's a pretty big thing for a year 4 medical student. And it also helped screw in some of the hip joints and the sockets in which the implant would sit. And so that was really cool, and I was like fully geared up, as you can see, with like this ventilator on my head to ensure air circulation was sufficient behind all the protective gear we wore. And in orthopedic surgery, you have to wear like a whole sort of face mask that's all sealed off, because when you're operating, when you're cutting bone, the blood can squirt everywhere. So it's pretty hands-on. And so, yeah, that was a really cool experience, and I was super exhausted. And then I headed home, back on the motorway. As I said, I love the commute to this hospital every morning. The motorway to this hospital was only completed a few months ago, and so it's the smoothest of roads. And so even on the way back, when I was tired, I was able to just listen to music, chillax, and get back home and tuck myself into bed. I still found it to be a fantastically useful experience. Really got to practice putting on a gown, putting on gloves, and it's actually quite an awkward procedure, but the scrub nurses in all the theatres were so wonderful, and actually just highlighted how important the whole team is in surgery. I think when people think of surgery, you often only think of the surgeons or the anaesthetists. The scrub nurses and the sort of assistant nurses all in there are so useful and so knowledgeable that it's so important to make them your best friends. They're the ones who will pay a lot of attention to you if you need help, because usually the surgeons and all are so busy and focused on their work. So when you're on good terms with the surgical assistants, it makes life a lot easier for you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, a bit of a different one, but I think you guys have realised all the videos on this channel are very different. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so, please give this video a massive like, and also subscribe to my channel for more. Go follow my Instagram, on which I'm more active than on YouTube, but I think you guys will very much enjoy all the content that I post everywhere. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys soon in the next video. Cheerio.